You are Locked On Rockets Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
In the words of our great modern philosopher, T-Pain, all the Rockets do is win, 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 no matter what. That's all they do. They keep on winning as they crush the Portland Trailblazers tonight. Are the Rockets on their way to winning the NBA Cup? Possibly. They're 2-0 so far in NBA Cup group play, as it is another brilliant Friday night at the Toyota Center for the Rockets as they just continue to absolutely roll in this early portion of the season, improving to 12-5 now on the season with another fantastic night all across the board after a very rough start. We'll talk about Dillon Brooks. Big night tonight for him. Again, more evidence that you should be completely buying into what this team might be up to this season. And guess what? We'll get to take a look at the next game, which is, again, against the Portland Trailblazers. We'll do all that tonight here on this Locked On Rockets Postcast. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Michael Connor. I have been talking Rockets, Astros, Texans, whatever it is for years with you guys on the radio. We're now here with the Locked On Sports Network. Tonight's episode, by the way, is brought to you by Robinhood. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 per month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. So let's start with Dillon Brooks tonight. How nice is it to see old Dillon the villain having himself a night? You know, so often we do these shows, and excuse me, I've got a hair somehow floating down into my face, and it's going to drive me nuts. We talk about, the big guys, which we will get to all those guys. We'll talk about, Jalen Green getting going there for a while. We'll talk about Tari Eason again off the bench doing his thing. Amen Thompson having another impactful night. But we haven't talked a lot so far this season about Dillon Brooks. Now, Dillon Brooks is a streaky shooter. We all know that. But he is a guy that is capable of knocking down three-pointers. He is a guy that is capable of, doing a little bit more offensively at times than maybe we give him credit for. He's not one of your best offensive players, but look, he is a completely acceptable offensive player. Even so far this season where his shooting has been down, his three-point numbers have been good at 36%. It's just the field goal percentage needs to get back up a little bit, which I'm sure it will over time. He's typically, in that 40-plus range, 41% from the field in this career, almost 42%. And, he's a guy that's not the world's most loved player. I'm curious what you guys still think now and to this day. It's year 2 of Dillon Brooks. He didn't have a great reputation coming in. I know a lot of people didn't love getting him. It was a huge contract. I'm not really worried about that right now because the way the contracts are set up for this team, it didn't really matter. It was an overpay, sure, but you had to overpay to go get him, and that's fine. And, he might not be like the world's greatest defender all the time. Like, I think he gets a reputation. He's a lockdown defender. I don't know if he's always locked down. He is a enforcer. He is a pest. He is a menace. He's all those things for a team. And I'm not trying to downgrade anything that he does. He is a good defender. He's not like he's a bad defender by any means. He'll cover, the other team's better players quite a bit. Now, you do switch. You see that when the Rockets go out there. They switch constantly, which is normal practice in the NBA now. But, I just felt like to start the show tonight, and based off of the performance he had the best game of his season. 25 minutes tonight for Dillon Brooks. He poured in, 28 in the 25 minutes. For some reason, my box score page here is not where it goes. I had to refresh it real quick. 28 minutes, 28 points in his 24 minutes, 35 seconds on the floor. 10 of 15 for the field, 6 of 8 from 3, 2 of 4 from the line, 6 rebounds. Did a lot of little things throughout the game. As well, to help this basketball team get the win. The Rockets overall tonight, 45% from the field, 39 from 3. Guess what you're going to do when you play like that as a team? You're going to win. You are going to win. They also won the turnover battle. They won the rebounding battle. They did all the little things, and they held Portland to 33% shooting and 25% from three. But Dillon Brooks, huge part of that. If they can bottle that up a little bit with him and find some consistency on the offensive end where, I think Dillon is fine being 12 points a night guy. That's perfect, honestly. That's right where they need. I'm not asking him to be 28 a night. And he wasn't, I look back, he had, 6 in the first, 6 in the second, and then he poured it in the third quarter with 16. 16 in that quarter, knocked down all 4 of his threes, only missed 1 shot from the field in that quarter. And that really put this game away. And I think that is something that, is very, I guess I won't spoil it too much for what we're going to talk about. It's one of those things you like to see for this basketball team, that they're putting games away, they're doing their thing. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes when we talk about more evidence that this team is something that you should buy into. I know that not everybody in the world still wants to buy into whatever's going on, which I think is silly at this point. But we're 17 games into the season now, and they're 12-5. And they're 8-2 at home. I keep highlighting that every night that we do these. They've been great at home so far this season, which is awesome. They've also played a lot of home games. At 8-2, that's 10 home games so far this season. There is only two other teams, in the Western Conference that have played 10 home games so far this year. That is Oklahoma City and the San Antonio Spurs. Those teams are, Oklahoma City's 8-2. The Spurs are 7-3. So they're also taking care of their business at home as well. Then you go over to the Eastern Conference, and there has been a total of 0 teams that have played 10 games at home so far this year. So it's going to level out. They're going to have to find their footing on the road. And to me, when you're a great basketball team, at minimum you're a 500 team on the road. And really, you go look at the numbers over the last few years, things go away. Or I shouldn't say things go away. Home court advantage isn't what it used to be. It still exists, but it's definitely across all the sports. It has gone away to the extent that it used to. But again, we'll get more into the overall viewpoint of this team and where they're at and how they're playing and why you should be buying into this here in just a couple of seconds. But again, I just wanted to give the praise tonight to the man that stood out. I guess if we were giving out awards on this show, which we have not done or do, Dillon Brooks he's definitely your player of the game tonight. With the, I shouldn't say definitely your player of the game tonight. Tari Easton probably has a little bit to say about that. But to do all that in 25 minutes of play tonight was absolutely fantastic for this team. And, I think about it all the time, where they're at, what they're becoming. And, he is, even if you still, there could be one of you out there that's a fan of the Rockets that watches him and still just can't completely buy in, or just doesn't feel like he's ever going to be like a Rocket. And that's okay. But I don't think that this team can have the success that they're having or continue to grow the way that they're growing if they don't have a guy like him. And I think he's been on his best behavior since he's been here as well, pretty much. I mean, I know he's always going to have dumb stuff here occasionally, but overall, I feel like it's been less stuff that will happen in Memphis has happened here. So, good night for Dillon Brooks. Big good night for the Rockets as they continue to push along in the NBA Cup. We'll take a look at why they're giving you more reason to believe that this team is continuing to find their way to keep you engaged, keep you right there as to being bought into this team. We'll talk about that here just close in a quick second on the Locked On Rockets Postcast. I'll tell you guys right now about Chime. Hey, look, we've all hit points in our life where we look at our finances and we go, you know what? It's time to start taking things seriously, right? Maybe you're in your 20s. Right now, trust me, it matters. It's a big time thing. Maybe you're a little bit older and you still, have some things occasionally where you're like, hey, you know what? I got to take care of those finances. Well, why don't you head over to chime.com/NBA. Join the millions of Chime members who are working on their financial progress. Chime helps you make progress with fee-free overdraft up to $200. Get spotted on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals. No monthly fees or maintenance fees. Over 50,000 fee-free ATMs. To date, Chime has spotted members over $30 billion. Friends give friends a boost. Eligible members get complimentary boost to temporary increases to increase a friend's spot me limit. When you give a boost, they can boost you back to temporarily raise your limit. How this all works, you set up direct deposit in your Chime account. After a qualifying direct deposit of $200+, Chime will notify you to enroll in Spot Me. With an activated debit card, Chime will spot you up to $200 when you exceed your balance. Your next direct deposit is applied to your negative balance. Chime never charges fees or interest for using Spot Me. Make all of your fall finances a little greener by working towards your financial goals with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/NBA. That's chime.com/NBA. Chime feels like progress. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bank Corp Bank NA or Stride Bank NA. Members FDIC. Spot Me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for more details. One more message for me before we get back to our discussion on the Rockets win tonight, and that is a reminder about the Game Time app. Are you looking to get yourself into a big game? Well, the Game Time app is here for you today to do that. They've got great deals across the app, last minute, well in advance, whatever it is you're looking for. They're going to get you everything. They've got the priority game time picks, which is a curation that makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. I also always like to remind you guys about the all-in pricing feature. Now, there's nothing more frustrating than when you buy tickets and you go to buy the tickets and you get there and it says blank fee, blank fee, blank fee, blank fee, and you've got a $50 extra right there on the top. Now, fees are always going to be there. We all know that. But in the Game Time app, you toggle the feature that says all-in pricing, and you get to see the all-in pricing with the fees right up front. So you know what you're paying for and how much you're going to spend on each and every one of those tickets. It is a great feature there. And, of course, as always, check out your seat view. Got the panoramic views in the app. Make sure you're using it. It's the best way to go. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and you redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Well, it's game time. Locked On Rockets Postcast following the Rockets' crush job of the Portland Trailblazers tonight, 116-88. I'm your host, Michael Connor. Thank you for joining us this evening on the Locked On Rockets Postcast. We do this after all of the games, which we will again do tomorrow because the Rockets will play the Portland Trailblazers once again tomorrow night before they head out on the road for a couple against Minnesota and the Philadelphia 76ers. This channel will also be live this weekend for Texans and the hated Tennessee Titans. That's right, the Tennessee Titans this weekend for the Houston Texans. Wade Smith and I will have the reaction to that game following that one on Sunday, 12 o'clock. Back to 12 o'clock games on Sunday for a minute for the Texans. If you're looking for this podcast, wherever you get your podcast, go and search for Locked On Rockets. You'll get this show plus the Locked On Rockets show. That's Jackson Gatlin every day covering your Rockets, doing a fantastic job. I always like to make sure I mention to you guys, if you're not following Jackson, whether it's on social media, his YouTube page for the Locked On Rockets, you are missing out. His coverage is second to none in this city when it comes to the Rockets on a daily basis. Video, everything on Twitter, or I shouldn't say Twitter, X now, all over the place. He's got you covered. Make sure you check out his show, the Locked On Rockets show, or the daily podcast. All right, more evidence tonight that the Rockets are right there. They're doing their thing. They have you believing. They want you to buy into what is happening at the Toyota Center. And I proclaimed it for me officially, I think it was after the last game. Like, I'm not going to sit here and wait around anymore. Yes, there's going to be a slump. in this season. It's inevitable. You're going to find a stretch of games where they play a bunch of days, a bunch of times in a short period of time. I think it was December or maybe it was January. One of those months. No, it's not January. It's got to be December. It's December or March. Okay, I'm all over the place. It's March. You go look at March. Like it gets to that dog days of the season. Like they play a bunch of games in the first 10 days of the month. That entire month they play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 games in a 31-day month. Like that's one of those months that, yeah, you know what? You're probably going to hit some issues here or there. But here's the good news is that right now, and I think that's why when I say more evidence to me is nights like tonight. You play a Portland team that's not good, correct? And Portland comes into this one. They were 6-9. They're not terribly far out of the play-in picture in the Western Conference, but they're not a team that is going to be a play-in team. They don't have enough offensive firepower. They just don't have enough in general. Golly, look at their team. What a brutal night. They only had 1, 2, 3, 4 guys even reach double figures. They didn't have a single guy with more than 13 points in the game. That's atrocious. That is absolutely horrible. I look at their draft pick, a guy we talked about a lot for the Rockets. Last year? I guess he's out, right? Scoot's out. He didn't play tonight. What am I thinking? I'm looking at the wrong name here. But that's not a good team. And when you're a good team, and I say this whether it's football, whether it's baseball, whatever sport it is, the good teams consistently beat the bad teams. And 17 games into the season, the Rockets keep doing this. And when you go into these kind of games, you don't overlook the opponent, because that's the number one thing that teams can do in these situations is overlook the opponent, right? You look at Portland on the schedule, cakewalk, we got this tonight. You just go out there, roll the ball out, we'll roll. And I'm telling you, go back and look at the schedule that they've had so far this season. I think the only night that's like super disappointing so far, the loss to Golden State, where you climbed all the way back and you just didn't have enough. You ran out of gas. And then the opening night against Charlotte, that was one of those too. It's really disappointing. But I think that tonight is another one of those pieces of evidence that there's growth for this basketball team. And then there's also the growth of, you think about some of those earlier wins in the season, and it's still so early in the season. Again, 17 games out of 82. There's a lot of runway here. But some of those games, they'd have a really good stretch in the game and then a really bad stretch in the game. And they would almost cough up a lead or end up almost losing the basketball game. And they were making it difficult to go out there and do that. You look at what they've recently done, and that includes tonight. The game tonight started off, I know you guys watched it, with the first probably 8-9 minutes of this game. That was horrible basketball. Both sides. I think the Rockets at one point were up like 13-10 with like 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. And they came out and did nothing. Portland went on a 9-0 or 9-1 run to start the game. Then the Rockets followed with a 9-1 run or something to get right back. I made note of it in my head, and I don't remember the exact number. But then it was like they just turned it on. They got into the game. They found a rhythm. I think they found a way with how the Trailblazers were defending them tonight. Portland's game plan in this one was clearly don't let Şengün go nuts. The way that they defended him, they made it very difficult to even get the ball to him in the post. He was 14-9 tonight. They didn't want him to beat them. They came in with a game plan of let everybody else beat us tonight. And then the Rockets found a way to do that. They peeled off, when Jalen got really going there for a minute, they were peeling off picks and getting good open shots. And then Dillon Brooks goes nuts and hits a bunch of knockdown threes. And, they found their way. And then you get the bench brigade that comes in and brings the energy. And Tari Eason does his thing again tonight, 22 points. Tari Eason in 22 minutes tonight on the floor, a plus 33. That's insanity. That little amount of time to be a plus 33. Because he, like everybody else, they affect it offensively and defensively. He also had 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. They all do something a little bit extra. And then there is the unmeasurable thing in sports that exists when these kind of games happen or these kind of roles start to happen. You cannot account for confidence, belief, whatever phrase you want to put for this. They have confidence, they have belief, and now they're doing all the little things. And that gets back to the leadership and the culture that they've built now with Ime Udoka and the young guys that they have. And it's manifesting into something that feels like is going to be special compared to what we have watched over the last few years. This feels like it's real. Like, you could have had a Rockets team in the past where there was a couple years ago, Steven Silas' ended the season. I think they had a little bit of a run where they won some games or whatever. They're like, oh, that's cute. This isn't winning a few games. This is a good team taking care of their business every single night when they need to go out there, playing together as a unit, playing hard on both ends of the floor, and honestly just being relentless. And wasn't that the Astros motto this year, relentless? That belongs to this Rockets team right now. They are relentless the way that they play. I would not, if I was an opposing fan, want to see this team coming up on the schedule at all. Because I feel like, they're going to have, my concerns here, there, wherever it might be, shooting wise. There's gonna be nights where they can't score enough. I know that at the core of it, like they did tonight, what's going to lead them is going to be their level of effort defensively. It is there, it exists, and it starts with their big boys. You see better consistent effort out of Alpi Şengün, Jalen Green, than I've ever seen that these guys play with. Şengün specifically. His attention to detail and work on the defensive end is shining every night. Fred VanVleet's going to play defense. Dillon Brooks going to play defense. Tari Eason's going to come off the bench, play defense. Amen Thompson's going to be an absolute monster out there on both ends with his effort level. You're witnessing me right now basically tell you that I am genuinely, as a lifelong Rockets fan, falling in love with this basketball team. And it's nice. It feels good to embrace it. It feels good to enjoy the good, right? Even though they've been bad, I, like a lot of you, I stuck through it. Like when the Astros were terrible years ago, I watched all those games still. I've watched all these games in this Rocket era where they got really bad after the Harden era ended. And you watch that for these moments. When it comes back together, that you're like, it's worth it, right? And we're seeing the fruits of the labor of a lot of young guys blossom right in front of us, and we saw it again tonight. It's a lot of fun. Let's take a look at the next game against Portland again. We'll talk about that next here on the Locked On Rockets Postcast. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhoodgold.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. All right, it's our final few minutes of the Locked On Rockets Postcast tonight. Hello and welcome back. I am your host, Michael Connor. Appreciate you guys for being here tonight. Make sure if you're new to this channel to hit that subscribe button. Come on back. We do this after almost every single game. Look, there's always going to be an occasional thing. Life happens, right? Things go on in life, which I didn't even think about a minute ago. We might not have a show tomorrow night. Don't tell my wife I said this. We've been talking about it all day, but we're coming up. It's not our wedding anniversary, but it's our anniversary of our first date. We always celebrate it. And that's tomorrow night, 7 years. So I'll let you guys know. I'll put a post up on the community page if we're going to have one tomorrow night or not. So I would like to do it. If I'm home and I'm available to do it, we will do one tomorrow night where they're going to play the Portland Trailblazers again. And look, the key tomorrow night is going to be the same as tonight. You know that Portland's going to come out, probably try and do a lot of things they did tonight to shut down Alpi. You go out and play that same intensity level. This Portland team's not very good. You should go out there and beat them again tomorrow night. And I hate to be that way, but I can be that way because I'm not the Rockets players. I can look ahead like that. Hey, I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching the show tonight. Thank you very much. Again, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to go and find this show anywhere that you get your podcast for free by looking for Locked On Rockets. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday night. We'll talk maybe tomorrow night, but definitely Sunday here on the Locked On Sports Houston page.